Just to give you a context on purpose of today's workshop, not only your idea or pitch, but your business model can also make or break your startup. And of all of the startup tools out there, the business model canvas is one of the most well-known and relied upon to help entrepreneurs take their idea from zero to one. Not only it gives you a better understanding of market feasibility and scalability of your idea, but also helps you assess risk, competitors, customer segments, gaps, and map out a better strategy that works for you. And to help you understand all about preparing and leveraging the power of a business model canvas, we have Muralidhar and Gautam as speakers for today's session. With that being said, I would like to ask them to take over from here.
So good morning, everyone. I am Muralidhar from Innovation Garage. So let's start the workshop. Kitty, can you please go to the next slide? Yep. Today we are talking about the business model workshop. So like Kirti said, to start any startup, it always starts with ideation. But most of us think that having an idea is sufficient to create multi-billion-dollar business. But it's not. Every idea has to have a business aspect to it. The business model, which actually talks about how the revenue is generated, how it actually functions behind the scenes. So it might get boring, but we'll make sure it doesn't get boring for you. So let's start the workshop for today. Yep. Again, as I said, most of the times we emphasize so much on the idea itself that we forget about the business aspect behind it. We think that, after getting an idea, we think, oh my God, this is going to be the next Facebook, next Google. But we don't think about, the basic economics of, generating profits, generating revenue, how the key aspects work behind the scenes. So what business model actually does is to bring every single aspect of the business into the one single canvas, into the one single picture, and talk about everything in a concise and clear manner. In such a way that just by looking at the business model canvas, you will get the complete understanding of how the business runs. You don't need any presentations or whatsoever. Just the business model canvas is enough for you to judge any business if it's going to generate revenue or not. So let's take a look at how the business model canvas looks like. So any business model canvas, it is very basic. It has like 8 to 10 segments, and it is divided in this manner. If you take a look at it, we generally go in a clockwise manner. We start at the top right corner near the customer segments and go down till the revenue streams and cost structure. Every single aspect here talks about that particular aspect of the business thing. Be it customer segments, we talk about who are the customers. If we the value propositions, it talks about how different our startup is from other aspects. Because with one idea in the industry, right, there will be like 10s and 20s and 30s of the same startups with similar idea. But if all those startups are successful, I'm pretty sure that every single startup has their own selling point, has their own unique value proposition. With that saying, we have many key resources, key partners, key activities, structure, revenue streams, what's or not. Just looking at this business model canvas, we can talk about the business completely without needing any further explanation from the founder or the proposer or whatsoever. So let's start. So instead of taking through you by definitions, it gets so boring. This is not our regular courses, and the way we learn business is by talking about stories. I love stories. So even this workshop, Gautam and I prepared for you about two companies, two startups, legendary startups, Zomato and Uber. So we'll take you through each and in single, segment of this particular business model canvas and explain it using these two startups. So I would like to ask Gautam to start this, the first segment of customer segment.
Yeah, guys. So the first aspect of the business model canvas that we're going to look at is the customer segment, guys. So the customer segment is like the base, like how we serve each type of customer from using our startup or company. That's what the customer segment tells us. So now, if we take the example of Uber, we have like two major customer segments. It is the commuters and the drivers. Now, among the commuters, we have the people who use the app regularly. We have travelers who go to different places and they don't have their own vehicle, and basically people who cannot drive in that particular place. And if we look at the drivers, there are two types again. One type is the drivers who are looking for a full-time employment. They don't have any other job. So here we are looking at the unemployed people in that area. And there are also drivers who have a job who are just looking to make some extra money out of this. So we have them as well. Um, Moving ahead, Murli will tell you about Zomato's customers.
Yeah. So talking about Zomato, right? We all use Zomato on a very regular basis. And it is very evident that Zomato's customer segment is divided into three parts. The first is always, us who order food online and who wants, the food to be served right at our doorstep because we don't want to walk all the way to a restaurant, right? So, yeah, users who wants right at the doorstep is the first segment, and the second is obviously the restaurants because Zomato even charges from the restaurants by taking the commissions from them. So the second part is always the restaurants who are willing to partner up with Zomato. And one thing we all miss about Zomato is Zomato has insane amount of data available with them, insane amount of customer data that they can sell for billions of billions. So that is not legal. It is illegal to sell this data very directly. So in a very indirect way, there are some companies who look to leverage this particular data to improve their analytics and to improve this business thing. So Zomato helps them and even charges them. So even they comes under the customer segment. So after the customer segment, let's go to the next topic and talk about it. So
Yeah.
as we talked about the customer segment, right? So every startup has their own key activities. That means what they actually do to make that startup happen. So Gautam will tell you about Uber and I will take up again Zomato.
Yeah. Now, if we look at the key activities of Uber, one of the first thing that they focus on is improving the customer experience. Like how are we going to maintain the customer base and like maybe improve it. So for this, they have like a really good UI with their app and website and stuff. And for this, they also need to increase their technical lead. Like so, they need to do R&D and stuff. So that they can keep up with the current technology. And also, marketing is a very important thing so that we can expand to new areas and increase our customer base again. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. So
Talking about
talking about
Zomato.
Zomato, right? So it is not done just by establishing an app, keeping it on Play Store. Zomato is a food delivery app, so you need to have restaurants and delivery agents onto the board. So the important key activity of Zomato is always bringing restaurants and delivery agents on their company's board. So after bringing restaurants and delivery agents, there are many other companies who are doing the same. So another key activity of Zomato is creating a very efficient algorithm which actually gives reviews of the particular restaurant so that the choices of customers will improve. And even after that, they use smooth delivery process. They make sure the delivery process happens very fast, and the customer can actually contact the delivery agent, and you can even track the progress of the delivery agent coming from the restaurant to your home. So these are the key activities of Zomato. So what is the next topic, which we'll talk by distinguishing between Uber and Zomato?
Yeah, so coming to customer relationship, this is the kind of things that the company does to maintain their customer base. Like after expansion, they have a lot of customers. They need to keep them happy so that they keep using our product. So we can look at this from two perspectives one more time. So the commuters or the passengers, so they come to Uber for the safety, security, and all this aspect that they provide. So you can trust the driver. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. Also for this, they have established a really good rating system that tells you how good the driver is, how has he performed in the past, so that you can make a wise choice. Looking at the driver's perspective, it ensures fairness. Like they don't have to bargain every time. They don't have to like try to increase their revenue. It'll just be done for them, and they'll get a fixed amount every single time. And also, it gives opportunity for the unemployed people. So it's like if you have nothing, you can at least do this if you just know driving. Going to Zomato,
Right. So, talking about Zomato, right, and even the customer relationship aspect, a legendary spokesman once said, a startup or a company or whatever is nothing without a customer. Who is that legendary spokesman? Even I don't know. I'm just saying it right now for you. I don't even know who said that. But talking about Zomato, the customer relationship aspect comes very important part. Because if the customer doesn't like a particular startup, he immediately switches. He or she immediately switches to the next app, downloads another app immediately because they don't care. They don't. The morality doesn't even come into the picture of the customer. So what this company makes sure to keep up with the customer relationships is a review system because when the customer knows that coming to Zomato they can get wide variety of options, wide variety of reviews, can understand the restaurant is doing good or not, then definitely they'll stick with it. And after review system, they have this chat feature with the customer support who are constantly online and who are constantly bugging you with the notifications and other things. So in this way, they try to stay in touch with customers and make sure the relationship is strong. And even after that, the phone number of the delivery agent is given to the customer while the food is being delivered. So what happens after this? The authenticity is built in between the customer and the delivery agent. So it doesn't look like a stranger is coming to you and giving you the food. It looks like an authentic delivery agent is coming to you and he's helping you by delivering the food. So the whole person of delivering the food changes with this customer relationship aspect. So that is why this is very important in the business model canvas. So the next topic is channels. So
Yeah.
for every startup, right, there are certain channels through which they, try to take the startup into the world. If this is an online startup, they use certain methods. If it's a D2C startup, they use certain methods. In this way, they generally make sure the startup has gone into every home and into every mobile. Gautam, please take us through Uber.
Yeah. So if we look at the channels of any modern tech startup, the first thing that we look at is their website and mobile app. So that's how we access their services. And some of the secondary channels that we access our customers is using social media, of course, and different kinds of advertisements, including Google ads and public ads on TV everywhere. So looking at Zomato,
Yeah. Yeah. Just like Uber, Zomato is not much different. Uber is, aggregator for taxis and customers, and Zomato is aggregator for food delivery agents. So just like Uber, Zomato uses an mobile application and a website and the solid social media presence to make sure that Zomato is being installed in every single user's mobile phone. So in this way, both Uber and Zomato has succeeded in reaching wide range of audience because when we go to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, these just we are finding Zomato service and Uber is getting there slowly. And getting into tier 2 and tier 3 cities now is not that easy, guys. If they are doing it right, that means they are using and they are leveraging this channel support in a very wise manner. That's why this is very important. So let's go to the next topic. Value proposition. So just like I said in the beginning, right, with a similar idea in the market, there will be at least 20 to 30 startups. If you get a new idea and if you see similar idea that is being running in the industry, you should not feel bad. You should not feel disheartened because every single startup has its own unique selling point. Just like how all of us has our own, unique persona, every startup has its own personality, has its own charm. So this value proposition brings us this personality and charisma into the startup. So Gautam, take us through Uber.
yeah. So Uber provides value to their customers again twofold. So the passengers or commuters, they get their car or auto or whatever on demand, and they know when the auto is going to come because they also get an expected time of arrival. But this is available a lot these days. So the other thing is they have lower prices compared to all their competitors. So that's why they are providing a lot of value. If we look at the drivers, they have flexible working hours, so there's no strict timing where you have to work. It's just like they calculate overall how you work and they pay you based on that. And also they get like a good amount of income. Also, it's not too less, so that way we provide value to the driver. So
Right. So now talking about Zomato, right? The most basic value that is creating for customers is before Zomato, there was no, the bridge between the user who wants to get the food delivery, and the food restaurants. The value that Zomato essentially created is bridging the gap. The logistical gap between the restaurants and users, it has bridged it beautifully, and the execution was smooth. And after this, the very unique value that Zomato has been executing very perfectly is creating the very efficient algorithm system for the reviews. Because even if a new startup comes into the picture and they are giving like insane amount of discounts, I will still stick with Zomato. Why? Because the reviews and the ratings and the algorithm is in such a way that I can choose which restaurant is actually nice and which restaurant is not that suitable for me. So if Zomato is giving that unique thing by by giving very good rating system, I will eventually stick through it. And even after that, we are seeing that Zomato is one of those startups which give insane amount of discounts, and they are burning the cash, and revenue from VCs. That's a different story. But still, they are trying to add value to the customers in each and every way possible. And the communication between the delivery agents and customer service is very efficient. That almost no one of us had any problems with Zomato through the delivery process till now. I'm pretty sure about that. So in this way, each and every startup has their own value propositions through which they, execute perfectly and get into the hearts, not only mobiles but also hearts of the customers.
Okay, so key partners include all the people who are outside our organization that help us, make this possible. So coming to Uber, the one of the main partners of Uber are the investors who lay the seed fund with which we can, develop the platform and access the customers, marketing, and all that. And some of the other partners include travel agency owners. So they provide drivers so that we have an initial base of drivers on which we can add. And then of course we have the daily passengers who use our app every day. Looking at Zomato,
Right. So for the Zomato, right, the key partners is very basic and very simple. They partner with restaurants in the first side and the delivery agent in the second side. That's it. Because if you might think the key partners of Zomato is very simple, their job must be very simple. But no, this process is very tough. Execution and the strategic relationships between any companies and any key partners, if they does not execute it well, the startup will be collapsed. So just like Uber, Zomato has been executing its key partners, and the strategic relations has been very great because the delivery agents get paid very nicely, and the restaurants have been trusting Zomato since ever. So these are the key partner aspects of both Uber and Zomato. Now going into the final aspects of the business model canvas, key resources. To function any startup, the startup needs to have some key resources through which it actually functions. Because money is not really the whole thing to run a startup. There are many other things apart from money which actually play a major stakeholder role. So talking about Uber, Gautam will take you through what actually makes sense for Uber in this case.
yeah. So the key resources of Uber, the first thing that we look at is the data. They have data of such a huge customer base, and they can kind of like they have customers who use it every day to go to their workplace and all that stuff. So they can use this data to target customers and generate more revenue. And the other main major assets include the technology. They have access to GPS, Google Maps and stuff. So they that is a huge asset that they use all the time. And also Uber has built a brand for itself that itself is an asset. So we know that Uber is trustworthy. So that is one of the key resources. Looking at Zomato,
Right. So there is a great saying that in the 21st century, apart from the discounts, the data is the biggest resource that is available. And Zomato has been using it very wisely. If you carefully observe, you might be getting, very deep discounts from Zomato. But aren't they burning the cash? When will they earn profits? The whole hope of the Zomato CEO is to leverage the data in the long term. They have like huge amount of data right from the customer's perspective and the restaurant's perspective. They know what customers like and what customers dislike, what customers order at what which point of time. And talking about restaurant's perspective, they know. which particular dish sells at which point of time and in which restaurant. And this particular data is not from a single customer, not a single restaurant. It's from hundreds of cities and millions of users. Imagine if they know the perspective and the key behavior of every single user uh, on their food habits, they can create another $1 billion business just based on this particular data. So just like I said, data is going to the biggest resource of 21st century, and Zomato and Uber has been using it very wisely. And the next aspect of the business model canvas is revenue streams. Just like I said, if a startup doesn't really generate a revenue, it's called a non-profit organization. There will be no difference between a non-profit organization and a startup if there is no revenue. So every startup has to make sure the revenue is being generated wisely and it is more than the cost structure of the startup. Because that's the basic unit economics, right? You have to earn more than you spend. That's when you get profits and you can live. Otherwise, you'll be on the roads. So talking about the Uber, Gautam will take you through what Uber does to generate its revenue streams.
Yeah. So the major source of revenue for Uber, like we know already, is the commission that they charge for every ride. So that makes they charge about 25% commission on every ride, and that makes the major source of their revenue. And they also have supporting products like premium services that give them, top-notch cars with leather seats and whatnot. So that is also another major source of revenue. Looking at Zomato,
Right. Zomato, again, just like data, their revenue comes from, again, two perspectives. One from the customer. Whenever you order and whenever you pay for it, a part of the payment that you pay for the Zomato goes to the Zomato and the rest of it goes to the restaurant. Because the restaurant is serving you the food at the end of the day, right? So only some part of the revenue goes to the Zomato from that perspective. And even the restaurant, because they are listed on Zomato and because they are, they are being branded on Zomato, even they pay commission for every single order. So these are the two primary aspects of the revenue streams of the Zomato. And the third is obviously the advertising, which they obviously do like the whole day on their apps and websites and whatsoever. And just like we talked about the key resources in the previous slide, data. They leverage the data and they consult other firms and other firms consult them to leverage this data and they generate revenue wisely. And we'll talk about the cost structure in the next slide. Right. Revenue streams is basically what we earn, and the cost structures are basically what we spend. If you minus revenue streams from cost structure, you will understand if you're earning profit or loss. So cost structure is mostly the expenditure that you run to maintain your startup. So Gautam, please take us through Uber.
yeah. So one of the main costs of any tech company is, keeping up to date. So they need to spend on maintaining their web platform, their apps, and they also need to spend on R&D so that they can, outsmart the others in the business. And other kinds of costs include, paying their employees, paying the drivers, and insurance for all the rides. They do provide that too. So these are the kinds of expenses that Uber has. Looking at Zomato,
Right. For Zomato, right? Uh, its basic cost structure is always for the payment of their employees and the salaries of the employees. And again, maintaining their big online infratech, that is, app and, every other thing that goes behind the scenes. It takes a lot of cost to maintain such huge serving customers application. And most of the cost structure goes away just for the salaries and maintaining their infratech. And even after that, Zomato is known for its insane marketing, be it the notifications or the Twitter or the Instagram reels. Zomato nails it at every single point, and trust me, it takes a lot of money for that. And marketing costs, take major role in the cost structure. And after that, they have to pay very good amount for delivery agents because these delivery agents are mostly, aged between 25 to 35 to 45. They can work elsewhere, but they have to come and work at Zomato. That means they have to be paid some nice amount to deliver that particular food. So even the delivery agents pay take away a larger chunk of the the cost structure. And again, the elephant in the room, discounts. Zomato is known for its insane discounts, and every discount that they give, they are taking away some of their cash in the bank, and they are giving it to us. We are burning the cash of Zomato, to be honest. And even the discounts take away a lot of cost structure. if you observe carefully, right, both Zomato's cost structure is more than its revenue. This is the biggest reason why Zomato's IPO has failed. If you observe carefully, Zomato has been in losses, and they are hoping they would survive in the coming years by earning profits. And seeing it from a larger perspective, one way they can do it is by improving the revenue streams and reducing the cost structure. But obviously, they know what to do. They built a big business and they will take care of themselves. So I think this is a business model canvas that we discussed today. Let's go to the next slide. Yep. So these are the 9 aspects of the business model canvas which we have taken you through, and we try to explain everything using examples. And after the business model canvas is done, what is the next part? Time to make money. Is it that easy? No. Trust me, it's not that easy. Even after writing the whole business model canvas, you still have to build the product and take the product in the customers, right? But still, a business model canvas is a solid proof that your idea is backed by a business. So, yep, next time we'll talk about product building and the other stuff. But today, the business model canvas is here for you guys. I would like to hand over this to Kirti.
All right. This brings us to end of today's workshop. That was indeed a very interesting way of explaining how a business model canvas works, using two very well-known startups like Uber and Zomato. Thank you, Mullidhar and Gautam, for delivering such an insightful session and simplifying the framework of business model for our participants. And we would also like to thank participants for joining us today. Now that you are actually aware of how a business model works, and it can help you figure out, the key components to execute your idea well, we sincerely hope you'll take this forward, not just forget about this once the workshop is done, and try and apply the Canvas framework to your own idea or to your own idea as well. Because yes, since many of you might be new to the business model, it might be a bit hard to prepare one in the beginning. But as you go on, not only it becomes simpler, but trust me on this, Canvas model works like miracle because it actually shows you everything that might not work while executing your idea, and that's really important to understand your product market fit. So that being said, we hope you all had a good time and found the workshop to be valuable and worthy of your time. So thank you all once again for joining today. Thank you.